This is breaking news from RTV6, working for you.
Breaking news this midday, an arrest has been made in the hit-and-run crash down in Bloomington that happened just as a peaceful protest over an attempted assault of a black man was winding down. You'll recall RTV6 was at the scene of this protest Monday night in Bloomington when the red car plowed through a group of demonstrators in the street. A woman who hung onto the windshield of the car for roughly 2 blocks was knocked unconscious and sent to the hospital. Today, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department announced that a 66-year-old woman who was driving the car was booked into the county jail last night. The preliminary charge is leaving the scene of an accident. Formal charges from the Monroe County prosecutor could come as early as today. As for the alleged attack, there are still no charges filed after Vox Booker says that he was almost lynched at Lake Monroe over the weekend. One video shows Booker held up against a tree with men threatening to get a noose and lynch him. The video shows the men shouting racial slurs at Booker as well. It will be up to the Monroe County Prosecutor's Office to determine if charges will be filed. The FBI has confirmed it is investigating this attack as a possible hate crime. Today, the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus issued 3 demands in connection with that investigation. The state lawmakers are calling on the Department of Natural Resources to provide information to law enforcement for a hate crime investigation. They also want the DNR officers involved in this case to be suspended immediately. And the caucus is asking the Monroe County prosecutor to bring those involved to swift justice. Taking a turn right now to our Thursday forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by from home. And Todd, more of the same. And if that's the case, I'm waiting for another thunderstorm down in Greenwood because that's what we've been having in the afternoons.
I know you've been getting them almost every single day.
Yeah.
Others, like myself, have not even seen a drop of rain from all these storms that have been around. So really just depends where you are and whether you see them or not. They'll be around here again this afternoon as well. Temperatures this morning and now into the afternoon hours have been warming quickly. We're up to 88 in Muncie, 85 in Indianapolis, 86 in Lafayette. These temperatures, though, running a little bit behind where they were yesterday. We had a couple 100-degree heat index values at this time yesterday. And when you see we're just shy of that in spots, and the reason is a little more in the way of cloud cover is built in across the area. We don't have any rainfall yet in central Indiana, but this storm popped up near Cincinnati, so I'd expect over in this area especially, it's not seeing the cloud cover for some storms to fire up here later on this afternoon. Then off to our west, more significant weather is in place, and that will eventually head in our direction in a weakening state, but that won't be until overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. So look for just some spotty storms again this afternoon, and nothing severe, but heavy rainfall and some lightning. Parts of the area under a heat advisory with high temperatures for everybody climbing up into the low 90s. We'll talk more about Friday and your weekend forecast and those changes, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. New this midday, a volunteer trainer at Lutheran High School here in Indianapolis says she was told she's no longer welcome there because she's gay. Crystal Brazel has worked at Lutheran High School as part of her job with Franciscan Health for the past 5 years. But back in February, she was told she would no longer be allowed to work, coach, or volunteer at the school because of her sexual orientation. Lutheran High School is affiliated with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, which is conservative on social issues. We have reached out to the high school for a comment, and we are still waiting to hear back at this hour. However, we did receive a statement from Crystal, and she says, quote, "I have loved every moment of my time spent serving Lutheran community. I know God placed me there for a reason, and now God is using me for another purpose. I want to prove daily with my actions that you can be a member of the LGBTQ community and be a Christian. I hope to spread a message of love, and it is my hope that Lutheran High School administration will use the Bible as a tool to share love and acceptance instead of as a weapon to discriminate," end quote. Brazel has not said whether she plans to take legal action, but that could be complicated by a Supreme Court ruling this week that said many employees at religious schools are not protected under federal anti-discrimination laws. Well, today the Supreme Court issued a pair of rulings dealing with whether President Trump's tax returns that he promised to release during the 2016 campaign could finally be released. ABC's Inez de la Cotera tells us the split decision in 2 cases still means the president could eventually have to turn over his financial information to investigators.
This morning, the Supreme Court ruling on 2 separate but similar cases involving President Trump's financial records. One, a subpoena from a grand jury in Manhattan, The other, a subpoena from the House Ways and Means Committee. Both involve the same set of financial documents, including the president's tax returns. Today, the justices sending both cases back to the lower courts. In a 7-2 opinion in the Manhattan DA case, Chief Justice John Roberts writing, "We hold that the president is neither absolutely immune from state criminal subpoenas seeking his private papers, nor entitled to a heightened standard of need." The justice is giving the president the chance to raise further arguments as appropriate in lower courts. On the case involving Congress, the court again in a 7-2 ruling reversing the lower court decision upholding the 4 congressional subpoenas for Trump's financial records, criticizing the lower court for not adequately taking into account the separation of powers, sending it back to them for further review.
And these 7-2 reaffirmations of the principle that the president is subject to some ordinary legal process are a significant statement.
The president repeatedly claiming his returns are complicated and that he's being audited.
I'll release them when the audit's completed.
His lawyers arguing the president cannot be investigated while in office, but the IRS code stating that when requested, the Treasury Secretary shall turn over tax returns to certain congressional committees that have the oversight. The case testing the balance of power between the White House and Congress. Democrats on Capitol Hill hoping the documents might shed some light on whether there was any foreign influence over the Trump family business. Another big question, whether the hush money payments to 2 women who claimed they had affairs with the president violated any campaign finance laws. It now seems unlikely the president's tax returns will be made public before the November election. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
Here are the latest COVID-19 numbers from the State Department of Health. The slight rise in the cases continues with 521 new positive tests. 7 new deaths reported today, so that is down from previous days. But in what could be a troublesome sign, the number of people being treated in hospitals for the coronavirus is going up. It's now at 686, and the intensive care bed capacity has also fallen to 37.6%, that is. However, less than 10% of people in those beds are taken by COVID-19 patients. It is now official. If you're in a public area, just about anywhere in Marion County, you need to wear a face covering. The county's mandate is an effort to prevent COVID-19 spikes that are being seen in other cities across the country. The requirement is for everyone 3 years and older, unless you have a medical condition that prevents you from wearing one. The policy covers all indoor spaces, including office buildings, unless you are alone in your office. So how could you be punished if you don't wear a mask here in Marion County? Well, next we're going to get an answer straight from the public health director who will be enforcing that new rule. Todd.
And Lauren, temperatures already in the mid to upper 80s across central Indiana. We'll easily climb into the 90s once again this afternoon, but today's going to be the last day of the 90-degree heat. For now, things will return back into the 90s by next week. We'll talk about the little break that's heading our way coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. You're watching the news at noon right here on RTV6.
New Holy Moly 2, the sequel, tonight on ABC.
Welcome back. The top health officer here in Marion County is hoping people will follow the mask mandate that took effect today. Only here on RTV6, Dr. Virginia Kane told our Rafael Sanchez the agency is ready to impose fines if it has to.
How effective are you expecting the mandatory use of face coverings or masks to be in Marion County beginning today?
Well, I hope it'll be 100%, but if I can get at least 95% of the population following the requirement, it will be extremely effective in lowering the transmission of coronavirus in Indianapolis.
Why now? You could have done this back at the end of March, mid-April, at the peak. Why do you think this is the moment to do this situation?
We thought we had some very good, effective prevention measures, and we were seeing a significant decline in our number of cases. So our cases were coming down, our hospitalizations were coming down, the positivity rate of the virus in our community was significantly coming down. So we thought we were making substantial gains, and so we felt very comfortable at that time to just have it as a recommendation.
How will you enforce this?
The enforcement will be through the Marion County Public Health Department. A lot of people may not be aware, but, we do a lot of housing inspections and we have enforcement related along with that. So citations will be presented to these individuals, and then we have a court system that we go through in order to do the fines.
And our thanks to Dr. Kane for talking with us. A reminder, Dr. Kane and Mayor Joe Hogsett will be handing out free masks less than 2 hours from now at Cleaners Food Bank. We'll put down the guns and pick up the gloves. Next, a closer look at a program that's trying to get young people in Indy to blow off steam in a positive way and become leaders in their community. Let's take a look outside right now from our Weather Now camera here in the Circle City. Clear blue skies, and we know it's a hot one. We'll check in with Todd Clausen and see what you can expect for your afternoon here on this Thursday. You're watching RTV6 News at Noon. Stay with us.
Drybot.com and make your home a Drybot home.
Welcome back. Staying safe and staying positive. Indy teenagers are getting support from positive role models who are teaching them life lessons during a turbulent time. Our Cameron Riddle spent some time with that group in Lawrence Park.
In the middle of an unprecedented year, communities are not slowing down their search for solutions to an ongoing issue, keeping young men on the right track and out of harm's way.
A lot of the young men we work with are in the system, or they work with us from a prevention standpoint. They're not in the system yet, and we want to promote constructive fellowship.
Kareem Hines has been leading the mentorship program called New Boy, which stands for New Breed of Youth. On some days, these young men sit and just talk about what's happening in the world and how they fit into it. And on a night like tonight, they are releasing energy and emotion through boxing.
We named it Guns Down, Gloves Up. So it gives us another avenue to talk to the young men about the gun violence and the danger of guns. Because back in the days when we were coming up, we used these. You really didn't hear about, a friend dying from gun violence. And again, not promoting violence, but I can almost guarantee if these young men have a dispute with somebody and they fight it out, they'll both wake up tomorrow morning. And more often than not, they might even become friends.
Tyler Alexander has been a mentor in the program for years. He's a positive role model who has earned the nickname Big Brother TA. He knows that spending time here is often the safest option for these younger guys.
A lot of kids that I talk to say that they're bored is the reason why they're making the decision that they make and getting themselves into the system. So this program is to get the kids to come out, burn off their energy, so by the time they get home, we feed them, and then once they're done, they're really not even trying to do nothing but go to sleep.
If there's proof that mentorship works, you'll find it in 16-year-old Davion Shaw, who joined the program when he was just 9 and did not like being around people. Now, he's a social guy who wants to become a mentor and help younger kids who are just like him.
It changed most of my life as how I look at myself. It changed the person who I am. And it changed me to be more social.
In Lawrence, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Oh, very cool program there, Cameron. Thank you. We do want to switch gears right now to our forecast. It has been the same forecast day after day after day. 7 days, Todd?
7 days we have hit 90 degrees.
Okay.
And of course, today is June 9th. So only one day we didn't so far. And that was July 2nd. And that was 89. So it's been a very, very hot stretch to open the month of June. And we should, Lauren, be able to put 8 onto this later on this afternoon, as we are expecting high temperatures to get up into the 90s. Lots of hazy sunshine here once again this afternoon as you look from downtown to the north. And temperatures are warming into the mid to upper 80s in most locations. 87 already in Terre Haute, as well as Greencastle. 85 in Indy. 88 from Muncie over towards the Richmond area. You factor in the humidity, and it feels like it's in the low to mid 90s in many locations across central Indiana already. So as we go throughout the course of the remainder of the day, we will have heat index values that'll be in the 95 to about 100 degree range. As you see here, these are the numbers for Indianapolis, about 97 by 2, 3 o'clock. And then as we work our way into the evening hours, those heat index values will start to subside just a little bit. Now, one of the ways we've been able to cool ourselves off just a little bit throughout the afternoon hours has been some thunderstorms flaring up. Nothing out there really right now in Indiana. You see that one storm in the Cincinnati area. But I would expect some additional storms to flare up this afternoon, although models are not indicating that they're going to be as numerous today as they have been in the days past. But off to our west, there is a cold front. And this cold front is going to make its way through the area overnight and throughout throughout the day tomorrow. So that's a little bit of a change from what we've seen as far as storms go. The past couple days, they flare up in the afternoon like you see here on TrueCast, again, although not as numerous, and then they've subsided once the sun starts to set, and that'll be the case again today. However, they won't completely come out of the forecast because overnight this cold front is going to come through. As it's coming through, it'll be in a weakening state, so I'm not expecting any severe weather overnight, but some of you could have some gusty winds and maybe getting woken up by rumbles of thunder. But then this front goes through pretty slow, so off and on throughout the first half of the day tomorrow. I do think there'll be showers and storms around. Once we get into the evening hours, though, I think it takes shape to be a pretty nice Friday night for us with humidity that will be dropping. And because of the rain tomorrow, temperatures will be a little bit cooler. We'll be in the 80s. So I think today is the last day in our current streak of 90-degree temperatures. I mentioned the cooler air over the course of the weekend and lower humidity as well. It's not a lot cooler. We're still in the mid to upper 80s, but then Tuesday into the middle of next week, Lauren, it does look, unfortunately, like we're going to start another heat wave with several days of 90-degree temperatures heading our way, including that 94-degree high temperature by the time we get to Wednesday.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, many weddings are back on now that the stricter stay-at-home restrictions have been mostly lifted. But if you're still concerned about whether it's healthy or not to attend a ceremony or maybe a reception with a large group of guests, here's what our partners at Newsy learned.
When it comes to getting sick with COVID-19, you might be thinking about this, and we have too. Anne asked,
what's the risk of attending a wedding reception with about 50 people?
We asked the experts. Their take, the risk of contracting COVID-19 from going to a wedding reception is medium.
It really depends on what phase your state is in. So if you're on the upswing of the number of cases of the pandemic, probably not a great time to go to a wedding reception. Around the peak, probably not as well. I probably want to make sure that we're past that peak and we're clearly on the way down.
It's still very important to know that if you're going to the reception, that you still want to minimize the number of people at that, minimize your contact with individuals. I know that's pretty hard at a wedding. Make sure that maybe that it's not a buffet wedding, all right? Individual plates so that you don't have people all showing up at the same spot, working with the same food. That's probably a good thing. Outdoor venues, always a big fan of outdoor venues right now, especially during the warm months.
It would definitely be more risky inside. Outside, you have fresh air. And then whatever requirements that you have in the city or state where you are, if it's even allowed. But within that, as long as, again, you are maintaining social distancing, wearing a mask to protect yourself.
If you have a question about your risk, email us a video question to what'stherisk@newsy.com.
All right, up next, we are going to talk about Halloween candy. Yes, a little bit early, but it's okay. And we're going to need some of that so that it doesn't melt out here in the summer heat. Keep the candy inside today. It's a hot one across the Circle City. Here's a look at White River, the Indianapolis Zoo. We'll check in with Todd when we come back. Stay with us.
Retailer in North America, Ashley Home Store.
So we are still right in the middle of summer, and it feels like it, but it doesn't mean it's too early to start talking about Halloween candy, right? Well, Hershey's is already unveiling its bewitching treats for the coming Halloween season. The candy company says it has brewed some spooktacular creations, including cookies and cream fangs. There's also vampire kisses with a red strawberry flavored cream inside. Maybe you'll like the Witch's Brew Kit Kat with a crunchy marshmallowy concoction, or there's the Reese's Franken Cups with a green cream inside, and don't worry, it is still peanut butter. Well, Todd, hopefully we can start thinking fall, thinking Halloween. Maybe that'll cool the temperatures down just a few degrees. That's all we need.
Yeah. You know, it better be cooler than it is right now on Halloween by the time we get there. And hopefully we'll be able to get the kids out to go door-to-door trick-or-treating then. 93 this afternoon, cooler tomorrow with numerous storms around, and then lower humidity and temperatures in the 80s, Lauren, over the weekend.
All right, Todd, thank you. And thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. Come back and join us for the news at 5, and have a great Thursday.